What's going on, everybody? It's Matt the Lumberjack Landlord. Super excited to have you here on this amazing Thursday night. Lots to talk about, lots doing. Whew, it's been a long week. But anyway, let's talk about just what's going on. So hopefully you guys are having an absolutely fantastic week. But what I wanted to talk to you guys about tonight was insane tenant demands. One of the areas that a lot of landlords get in trouble is when they start catering to demand. Like they can't get another renter. Like they'll never rent the unit again. They'll never be successful again. We try and manage. One of the things that we're really successful at is managing people's exits. So one of the things that I teach in the course is kind of the cadence to a tenant being on lease, how long they're going to be on lease, when you start doing the reach outs to them, talking about the follow-up. These are all things that are kind of super important. So when we have those conversations with them, again, the entire goal is managing the process. We want to make sure that we're managing the process, that we're putting ourselves in a position where we're not going to get got, because that's the last thing that we want to do is get got. So this week, as a perfect example, we're going through the process and, we're managing the process with this tenant. The tenant says, "Hey, I'm giving you 30 days notice." We say, "Okay, we actually have in our lease that you have to give 30 days notice from the first." He basically fights that. And it's kind of like, okay, that's nice. That's cute. Whatever. So he fights that. We don't know that what he decided to do was shut off the gas to the unit. We're in wintertime. It's cold here. And yeah, it's below freezing pretty much every single night. And so one of the interesting things is, regardless of how we manage the process, he felt in his mind that he was good. I'm moving out and that's what I want to do. And too bad. Well, the problem is that he didn't give his notice until the middle of the month. So that means he's already to the middle of the next month. And one of the famous things that I say is you don't get to go to the restaurant and order the porterhouse, only eat half of it and say, "Hey, I just want to make sure you don't charge me for the other half that I didn't eat." I don't sell half pieces of steak. I don't rent out half of months. We ask for 30 days notice from the first. That's what's in the lease. Now, that's what's in the lease. Even when that expires, it's questionable whether or not we would go to court and actually win on that piece. However, it is in there. They have seen it. The most important thing about the 30 days notice is that they're also to leave all the utilities in their name. He chose not to do that. He chose that at the end of this last month to have everything taken out of his name. Now, here's the problem. In our area, you can have the electric automatically roll into your name. I don't love that because somebody could just call in and go, "Yeah, I'm leaving." They automatically roll it into the landlord's name. And then where are we at on things? With gas, you can't do that. With cash, you can't. So here's what ends up happening. He calls, says terminate gas service instead of transfer gas service, because he wanted to be a bitch about it. And I can show to you and I can prove to you that he was being a bitch about it. The second thing that he did was in transferring it out of our name is he didn't carry it the full 30 days. He did it at the end of the month. Well, we're still in winter. You can't shut gas off in the middle of the winter. The reason how I know that he was being a jerk about the situation and that he didn't like what my answer was is that he also decided to take the batteries out of the door handle. Because at one time he had replaced them. Well, seeing as how he had used the previous ones, it's his responsibility to replace them because they're his use, not my use. So he went into there and he took the batteries out. Well, as luck would have it, we get the call the next day saying that there's water coming in the apartment below them. And we're like, what the hell? Now, we didn't know that he had shut the heat off, but we knew that he was giving up the apartment. We knew that he was walking out. So we actually went over there with a heater and we're like, you know what? We're just going to put a temporary heater in there. We run into him. He's still there. Shouldn't be there. He can't be there on the first of the month. He can't be there. He hasn't paid for anything. So we put the heater there and then we get the call. We show up the next morning. And when we show up the next morning to an emergency call. Hey, it's leaking. What sucks about it is it was a Sunday. I'm spending time with my family. My crew is spending time with their families. There's no reason at all for this jackass to have done this. However, he who laughs last, laughs best. So when it's all said and done, where we are now today is that we had to go in there. We had to make that emergency fix. We're waiting for the bill from the plumber. We know it's going to be emergency fix time. We know that the line burst. It wasn't something that we could replace based on where it was located on the baseboard piece. Where it was basically located on the baseboard piece is it popped too much inward to the fin area, and we had to have like an actual pro come in and fix it. So we're waiting for that bill. So we'll get that bill. That's fine. But this person decided to be spiteful. Well, game on then. Fine. We can play this game. That's fine. I mean, if you really want to poke the bear, like, let's do this thing. So I said to him, literally, he's like, well, the line burst. That's not my fault. I said, it is your fault. You were supposed to leave the heat on for your term. No, I left. Doesn't matter. It's part of your notice. And he's like, you don't know what you're talking about. So my answer back was, I know enough to know what I'm talking about. I'll see you in court. He's like, you'll lose. No, I won't. I really won't. This is my 26th win teed up. I will be 26-0 after I finish with this douchebag. So yeah, I'm a little mad because he screwed my weekend. He screwed my guy's weekend, and he did it just to be a jerk. And not only did he do it to be a jerk, he also acted like it wasn't his fault. Of course, it was 1,000% his fault, 1,000%. So when I talk about insane tenant demands, it was him demanding that we take his time frame, and him demanding that it's only this much time, and him demanding that this is when I'm leaving and this is what I'm doing. You still have to observe the laws. And it's my job to not just let that go and say, that's incorrect. Here is actually the law. Here is what you're responsible for. Here is what you have to do. So I did all those things. So don't cater. And this is why it's really important to have that good lease that we talk about, is don't cater to these insane demands. Reflect back on your lease. Use your lease to answer the question, because 99% of tenants will not go to their lease. 99%. Somebody asks us for a 6-month extension. We're like, no, we're not interested in doing 6 months. We'll do a whole year. Well, then I might leave. I'm cool with that. You can leave. No problem. New Hampshire has a 0.8%, not even 1% vacancy rate. Go ahead. See ya. I'll help you pack. I'm going to just rent out your unit. I'm not going to get bullied by tenants. It's my property. I'm the one who took all the financial risk, and you are there paying me a sum of money to use my property. Fill in all the hate comments below. I don't really give a rip. You got to go to work tomorrow. So that's all I have to say about that, with all the hate comments I'm sure I'm going to get about this. At the end of the day, it's my building. It's your building. It's not the tenant's building. You need to have a good enough lease where you can, and you need to know enough about your area, rules, laws, and statutes that you can respond back with those things and let them know what they're heading towards. It's really, really important that that's what happens. So I tell you this story to tell you and to show you that even 23 years in, I'm still dealing with some of these issues. Now it happens, like, whatever, it is what it is. Guy was a jerk, and he's going to lose, and he's going to pay a nice big fat sum. It's going to be over what his security deposit was. And it was only because he was being a jerk. Hey, listen, you know what? If that's the way you have to act, then that's the way you have to act. Quite frankly, I don't think that's the way to go. But if that's the way that you choose to go, I will happily oblige, and I will go down the path with you. So what I want you guys, again, to take from this is have good leases. Know what your lease says. Look up some of these statutes in your local area so you know what some of these are, so you can respond back to a tenant. Admittedly, I sent something to my attorney, one of my attorneys, real quick, and I just said, hey, this is a scenario. Any tips? And it took him 5-10 minutes to pump out an email. So maybe I have to give him $75. Well worth it. Well worth it, because now I know I'm completely within the law. I know exactly what I need to respond back, and I know exactly how to then follow up. So I hope the same for you. I hope that's helpful advice. I hope it gives you encouragement that even 23 years in, we still have to deal with some things like that. Although I can't remember the last time we had such a belligerent tenant. However, he's going to pay. And I will enjoy collecting his check and taking him to court and embarrassing him in front of the court because he was such a tool bag about the situation. That being said, let's jump into some fun stuff. I'm parched actually. Let me just grab a real quick drink. So good. Theta Hedge Capital. Hey, how are you? It's been forever, Theta Hedge. Good to see you. Wayne Wong, good to see you, sir. On my way back to a job, says Hyder. I'll be listening for a while with the bruised thumbs up. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Hyder. Jason Calcebetta. Good evening, Matt and everyone. Good evening, sir. Wayne Wong. In the rain, Hyder. I know. Indoor paint job. Very good. Good evening, Matt and everyone. Hey, Chester. Missed you last week. Hope you're doing well. Buzz Tune. How are you? Chris Culp. Good evening, sir. Laura Samaniego. Good evening, everyone. Jim Van Tassel. What's up, everyone? Good to see you, Jim. Master Coach University. Lots of talking and red tape, but was able to negotiate the voucher, holding the tenant to agree to go up from $2,500 to $3,100. Application in. Now it's up to the housing agency. FMRs are at $3,800, so we'll see. That's phenomenal, Master Coach. We talked about it last week. You're doing exactly what needs to be done, and even better, if they're at $3,800, you were okay with $2,500, but based on the additional persons getting up to $3,100, now you're talking $7,200 extra that year, and that $7,200 goes right to the bottom line. I don't know that it gets much better than that. I think that might be pretty awesome. So I think, hold on one second. So I think that, again, just based on what we just covered, that's exactly what anyone needs to do. That's exactly what you guys should be looking at, is making sure that you are pushing on these types of things to get the maximum rent that you can get. Does the difference between $3,100 and $2,500 make any difference to that tenant whatsoever? No, because she's free on the dole anyway. She's free on the dole anyway. There was no consequence to her having 5 or 6 different kids with, 4 different guys. No, why not? It's America. It's fine. Taxpayers pay for everything. Right. Yeah. Do I seem mad about that? Of course I am. Why do I want to have to work my butt off for 4 kids? And, she's on some public assistance. Now, I'm not saying her life is cheering. I'm sure she lives a stressed life. Last time I checked, probably self-inflicted. 100% self-inflicted. Now, and where are the guys? They're gone. They're gone. Where are they to be tracked down? What do they owe? Of course they owe something. Like, don't be silly. And they owe more than $50 a month, I'm sure. So anyway, it's a good thing, Master Coach, that you did there. And yeah, I'm a little bit fiery tonight, but it's a good thing, Master Coach, that you did there. And like you said, I mean, if it's at $3,800 if it is at $3,800, for the FMR, then the 31 should be really, really easy. You should get the 31. Key, how are you, sir? Good to see you. So petty tenant. Yeah, exactly. Wayne, at the end of the day, you're going to get petty tenants like this. And okay, if that's the way you got to play the game, bro, it's only going to cost you money. It's going to cost me a little bit of time. But again, this is how I'm going to get better and better and better in court. I was in court hanging out. I didn't have any cases. And the judge looks down at me and she goes, "I don't see you on the docket today." And I smiled and I said, "I'm not on the docket today." She goes, "Okay." I said, "I'm just observing." I said, "Just observing, trying to learn." And she smiled. She goes, "Okay." Just like to hang out with you, Your Honor. You're really cool. I just like to hang out with you. And she's a great judge. I love watching her work. She's just, no silliness. Wealth building journey. The tenant is a complete crock of, yes, exactly. They are. They exactly are. That's exactly what they are. They're bad people. Like, you have to be a bad person to do that. And so I took pictures of this because now, what is the story now in front of the judge? I can show the judge he's being vindictive. I can show the judge that he meant to freeze my pipes. Not just that it was accidental. He meant to freeze them. He knew it was going to be freezing. He knew that he had a responsibility until the 15th. Now the judge can push back and say, no, you can't say he knew that. Okay, that's fair, Your Honor. But he knew it was cold outside. He knows that heat's needed to not freeze pipes. And if he absolutely believed that it wasn't an issue, then why did he come back? And when he was there and the leak happened, why did he start trying to tape it up? Because he was trying to cover it up. The moron tried to cover it up with pink caution tape. Dude, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. I mean, really, dude? You know that little about construction, know that little about life? It gets harder from here, pal. It gets harder from here. Meanwhile, I think what's most important about this story, do you know how many times I raised that guy's rent in 4 years? I didn't. I bought the building and I just said, at that time, within 6 months, we did our 6 months to 12-month thing. I raised it that one time. And then the 4 years since then, I haven't raised it because I was like, you know what? It's good enough market. It's affordable housing. Like, we're good enough there. Yeah. Do you know that I was renting out at just over $1,000 a month when Section 8 will pay $1,400 for that same unit? $1,400. In fact, how do I know? We actually have the unit right next door to it at $1,400 through Section 8. Now we have some of the other ones in the building are around the same price of the Section 8 one, not the $1,000 one. But this is what happened. So remind me again why I shouldn't raise rents. Remind me again why it's my responsibility to keep rents low enough that he can make sure to have a frilly life. He had a nice car. He had a nice temp tag on the car about a year ago. I haven't had a temp tag on a car in years. In fact, I don't even buy cars where I can get temp tags on them. I have to register them beforehand. But I'm so glad that I helped him out. So glad that I helped him out with that. And guess what? That's going to be another topic of discussion in the courtroom. Your Honor, you'll see that we tried to keep this unit affordable housing. Where else can you get a 1-bedroom for what we were renting that out for? Her answer is going to be, well, nowhere. Right. We were doing everything that we could to treat the tenant right. And this is how they left it. And this is how they treated us. Yeah. Judges don't like seeing that stuff. Judges do not like seeing that. Joseph I.L. Hey, Joe. Hey, Matt. It's been a while since I've been in with everyone, but still make sure I'm watching your recording stuff. Love your shorts on YouTube. Thanks, pal. I appreciate it. Good to see you. Hopefully all is well with you. Rankin Projects. What's up? Hey, Rankin. Here's to hoping you get the increase, Master Coach. Yeah, I think they will. I think they certainly will. Jack Stewart, spending my break with y'all. Hey, thanks, Jack. Always good to have you here. Matt, you're looking smaller. Maybe. It's possible. We're past the holiday season and all of the leftover candies and treats and all of that stuff. And so, yeah, it's sad. Josh Burdick, I had a tenant pull the same thing, wanted me to prorate rent since they left early. It was messy in our lease due to them being an inherited tenant. They left it super clean, so I got off lucky. That's exactly right. And here's the thing. Had he left the place immaculate, had he not burst the pipe, had he left the heat and the electric on, we wouldn't have had a conversation. But the guy's being a prick every step of the way. So seems to me like you need me to pay more attention to you. I approve. I will spend more time thinking about you and what you've done. Vatsal. Hey, Vatsal. Hey, Lumberjack. What questions would I ask a CPA? New investor trying to do taxes for 2024. The thing that I would, so Vatsal, one of the things that I'm really concerned about all the time with accountants or CPAs, I want to know that they own real estate themselves. Yeah. Because there's no accountant that's as interested as what's going on with the accounting rules associated with rental properties as a CPA that actually owns rental properties. Even if they say, oh yeah, we have a few clients that have rental properties. I don't care about a few clients that have rental properties. I don't want to be one of a few clients that have rental properties. I want to know that you have them. That's your ideal fit. The next fit would be somebody that doesn't necessarily own them themselves, but has a ton of clients that own property. And that's then the question that I ask is, okay, you don't own any yourself. Well, how many clients do you have? And how many of those clients, what percentage of them have rental property? If they say less than 10%, hard pass. I'm not interested. You don't know what you need to know to really take care of my business and help me stay ahead of it. That's one of the critical things. If they have the business themselves, guess what? They're going to take care of it. So the most important thing I want to know is, do you own any rental properties? Number one. Number two is, if you don't own any rental properties, how many clients do you have? And what's your percentage of clients that actually have rental properties? That's the best way to do that. That's what I would be asking a new CPA. That's what I'd be trying to find in a new CPA, Vetzel, because then they're going to automatically get what you're doing. They'll talk about What's your strategy? What are your goals? And then you're telling them what your strategy is and what your goals are. And guess what? Now you're aligned. Let's see. Hello, Matt and all. Hello, Wealth Rentals. Alphabet and O against Tenants. Yep, 26. Will the 27th win be AA? I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. Dan M. Hey, Matt, I asked you a question at the event about keeping heat in my basement. You asked me to send a pics. Yes, I did. So the eaves up above where the wall are, or the rim joist, I would be insulating all of that. I saw that you had a number of like metal studs and things like that on the basement. So there's a couple things you need to do. Number one is you need to make sure that that the rim joist is actually got, a few inches of spray foam on it. Every single inch of spray foam, if it's closed cell, is 7.4 R value. So if you get 7.4 R value, what I'm actually looking for is you want to stop any of that air passing as much as you possibly can. So that's the first thing that I'm doing is I'm doing that right there. I want to go 4 inches in. The reason I want to go 4 inches in, I want to be at least R28. Ideally, I'm bigger than R28. Ideally, maybe I'm 5 inches in. So that way it's literally from the rim joist all the way across the concrete. And then that's my rim joist and it's completely sealed. Second thing I do is on any of the windows, I basically would create something where you're able to put, if it's a window box, I'm wanting to actually cut something that's like, rock wool or something like that, something that's pressed to fit. And I just slide those in again. The best thing to do there is you put plastic on those windows first, and then you slide in the Roxol. That's a tried and true process. The other thing that you can do too is, and again, I saw that you had some studs on the wall. I wouldn't be necessarily totally opposed to actually putting rock wool on the walls. If you've got the metal studs already there, I would put rock wool on the walls, and just insulates it that much better. The other thing that I would do too is the ceiling, the ceiling of the basement, which is the floor of the first floor. I would rock wool in there as well. Outside of that, the only other thing that I could think of is where else you might have air movement. And at that particular point, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to get in there with a FLIR camera. Go with one of those energy loss places where they can actually come in, they can take a couple pictures, and with the FLIR camera and see, where, if any, you have any cold spots. Those are kind of the first 4 or 5 things that I would do, because outside of that, the only other option is to basically, put some heat down there. The key to it is that you don't want any of the heat escaping. So number one is remove any air movement that's occurring down there. Number 2 is make sure that all those different openings are insulated. I don't know if you have a bulkhead or a rear door or any of that other stuff, but those are all the things that I would do to ensure that you have a cleaner, safer, more secure basement from the elements. Let me know if that helped. Hey, Liz. Good to see you. Sorry, I was in and out of boot camp on Sunday. I was trying to find the replay. All good. We actually have, we've got the replays. We just got to get them up. Maria 28. Oh my, you remind me of my dad. Good. I think you love your dad. You don't need to love me, but that's okay. At the end of the day, people have to be held accountable. There's rules and regulations. We all have to play by them. As a landlord, I have to play by them. What makes them think that 30 days notice means you can file something on the 4th? F you, dude. F you. You're not special. You're not special. That's not how this works. You owe because it's the 1st and you have to give 30 days from the 1st. And if you don't, you are not special. I don't know why you think you are special. Maybe your parents love you. Maybe your parents think you're special. I don't think you're special. I might think you're special, but you're not special. So at the end of the day, you don't get to play by different rules. I don't get to just jack up your rent because I felt like it. I don't get to tell you to get out on the 13th. It's not how it works. We all have to play by rules, and there's a contract, and that contract, the lease, presides over our relationship and over our engagement. So when you break the rule on that lease, you've broken your lease. I'm going to cite you for it. And if you're going to leave as a jerk, I'm just going to charge you. Yeah, just going to charge you. Robert Fernelli. Hello, sir. Open Rentals foundation repair. If you get a quote for a repair and you agree to it, how do you make sure they won't find other things and charge you more after they start? Well, Wealth with Rentals, think about it on the other side. If they find more than what they bargained for, why shouldn't they be able to charge you more? Like, they don't own your problem. It's your problem. You're the one that owns the house. So if somebody quotes me $7,000 on a job, and when they quote me $7,000 on the job, it's based on this scope of work. But then they get into the wall and they find something else. Of course they should get to upcharge me. That's the point. Why am I special? I'm not special. Why should they take on the risk of what they might find in my wall? They shouldn't. That's on me. It's my property. It's my job, my rules. My ownership of that means that I'm the one that at the end of the day holds the bag. I'm going to be the one that has to pay. So the way that it's important is when they find something different and it doesn't actually take any extra work. Oh, it doesn't matter. I had to rip that stuff out anyway. Well, then if you had to rip this stuff out anyway, what are we talking about? But that's when somebody today came to me and they gave me a bill for $5,300. I said, this isn't what we agreed to. We agreed to $3,200. He's like, well, it took longer. I go, it took longer because you made mistakes. I said, you didn't actually talk to the inspector first. You didn't get a permit first. I found all this out afterwards. And then he required something different of you than what we talked about. So all of those things. So the fact that you misquoted it, the fact that it's a much lower number is really on you. It's not on me. The extra time, that's on you. That's your problem. Now, when they come back to me, of course, I'm going to work something out with them and I'll pay them a little bit more because they did have to do more work, but I'm not paying them a full extra day. I'm not. They're not getting a full extra day of, they are absolutely 1000% not getting a full extra day of work because they made mistakes. Ain't going to happen. Ain't going to happen. So, yeah. Oh, it's so good. Without that, I probably would have fallen asleep. Won't lie. It's been a long day. So Wealth with Rentals. Let me know if that helped. Josh Burdick, I like your half porterhouse steak analogy. Yeah, most people do, except for tenants. Tenants hate it. But dude, seriously, I don't sell. I don't rent by the room. I don't rent by the week. I don't rent by the day. You get the month or you don't. How much you stay there is up to you. You own it for the month. You paid for its use. And if you didn't pay for its use, you owe me for its use. Period. Good evening. Hope you and your family are doing well. Summertime Santa, we're doing great. Doing great. All the kids are good. Bryn today finally had her ear tube surgery. Thank God. She's deaf as just deaf. Super deaf. She was super deaf. Yeah. Super deaf. And now she's not. It's amazing. Same day. She's actually great. Summertime Santa, thank you for the tip. 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 The tip on betting. Thank you for the tip on betting. You're welcome. Tip on betting CPAs. Oh, vetting CPAs. Yes. You're very welcome. It was very helpful letting me decide who I was going to go with this year. That's awesome. Guys, this is one of the most important things, right? So everyone used to make fun of Bill Belichick. And yes, it's Bill Belichick. Everyone used to make fun of him because he would say, hey, all three facets of the game: offense, defense, special teams. Do you know how many games the Patriots won because of special teams? A lot. Do you know why? Because they situationally spent a ton of time on a third of the game. It's not a third of the game as far as time goes, but it can change the outcomes and it can change the how everything else is set up and what the flow of the game is. So that's where he was such a great coach. That's what really was a big part of what they did and how successful they were, because they actually understood that there were three facets of the game. A lot of times people are just like, yeah, but special teams, it's only 3 or 4 times a game. What happens if you have a really bad game and you've punted 12 times? I've got bad news. You're probably going to lose. So it's one of those things where the CPA really is a big part about what we do. They're a really important part of the team. You have to make sure that they know what they're doing, that they're looking out for themselves because they have rental properties themselves. And then how do they apply that to your business? And that they understand what your goal is. I have that conversation with Bob Langworthy from Maine Bean Counters. We have a conversation 2 or 3 times a year. So we're kind of staying on top of, hey, this is what the plan is. I don't know what 2025 looks like. We sold, what did we do? We sold one thing. We bought another thing. We bought another, we are under contract for another thing. And so I don't know how many transactions we'll do last year. I think we sold 3 and we bought 3. But it was because of 1031 stuff. And then this year we'll sell at least 2, buy at least 3, and maybe sell another one. So we might be net even, on that. But we're changing the complexity of our portfolio. And the reason that we're changing the complexity of our portfolio is an obvious reason. We want to put ourselves in a position where we believe that we have the best, give me 1 second here. We want to put ourselves in a position where we believe we have the best chance to pounce on a big deal coming in or that might become available. But we're not in this massive, super fast growth mode. We want to finish off the couple projects that we have. If we get those live in the next few weeks, that's ideal. I want to get things live in the next few weeks because if I can get things live of these other projects in the next few weeks, if I can get those live, basically in the next 8 to 12 weeks, then we'll rent them out over the course of the summertime and we'll have a massive new chunk, probably about $27,000 a month of new rental income that we don't have now. But I have all the expenses now. That's how powerful it is. God bless me. Matt, just wanted to update you. Sign the new lease for another 5 years with a rent decrease, 15%. Thank you for your words to know your number. Yes. And for those of you wondering, Key wasn't the landlord in this situation. Key was the renter in this situation with his business. 15% decrease. Good for you, Key. I'm super happy for you. Anna K. Hi, everyone. Still out here working. Made it at least. Good to have you, Anna K. I will catch up the beginning later. That's all good. Love to have you. How do you vet foundation company and choose the best of, let's say, 3 or 4? Just like I would with any other vendor. I want to look at their quotes. I want to understand what their process is. And I want to know how long they've been doing it. And I want to talk to somebody that's actually done that thing before and see that they've had no problems. And I want to talk to somebody that's had the same problem that I have. That's all that I'm asking for. Yeah, just give me somebody that you've done this same broad project for that looks like mine. That's all. Take some time, but that's largely what I do. Dan M says to Vatzel, I messed up my first time, was getting the basis correct for claiming depreciation. I found most of the other stuff fairly straightforward for a single property. Yeah, I think at the end of the day, the most important thing is that you start your journey with an accountant that understands what your goals are, what the strategy is, how you're going to implement that strategy. The strategy on the accounting and book side is just as important as your buying strategy. It's just as important. You find the guys that become elite and get really big. It's not because I'm so much smarter than everybody else. It's because I had a system and I had a process. And when things qualified, when they fit in the box, I didn't have to think about it. I just did the deal. And because we're just snapping it into a framework, because we're not constantly doing new stuff, we do new things every once in a while, but most of our stuff follows the same criteria. And that's the work that we continue to do. Let's see. Wealth Rentals. How do you find a small foundation company without a big overhead? Facebook Marketplace. I'll post in any of the different user groups. I'll post in different construction groups that are local saying, and just a couple paragraphs describing what the project is. And then you'll get lit up 15, 20 times with a bunch of different people. And then you can just spend a couple of hours looking up each one of those companies and seeing how big they are. Are they a 3-person team, a 5-person team? You can kind of figure out, what exactly they are. Let's see. Summertime Santa. I'm in the process of acquiring a hoarder house. What is your preferred way of emptying it? And do you send the things to auction or do you just straight to the trash? So there's rarely anything in a hoarder house that you're going to send to auction. However, what I do is I make that part of my offer because they likely have no idea and they're going to be completely stagnant on getting anything done. So the thing that you really want to be most cautious of is not making them feel rushed if you're doing a deal like that. Then when you get the unit back, then I'm emptying a bunch of stuff in the dumpsters. Real trash goes into dumpsters. But after I have all the real trash in the dumpsters, then I leave all the other stuff in the house and I actually will do a estate sale. Saturday and Sunday estate sale. And people can come in, and even if I can just generate $500 to $1,000 or $1,200, I've had plenty that have done about $1,000, and that creates enough money for me to just go, yep, that works. It paid for the couple dumpsters that I needed or whatever. But yeah, that's the best position to be in. And then the other additional things, you can toss them out. You can do whatever you'd like. Yeah. I'm in the process of, nope, that's the, yeah. So nothing's going to go to auction. If you ever have a question, just look it up on the internet, take pictures, look it up on the internet. But most things like that, most things in a hoarder house, most of it's complete junk. We've found some pretty cool stuff, but we've never found more than like $1,000 worth of stuff. Like, it's never been crazy. It's been pretty moderate. Wealth of rentals. Would you care about the lifetime warranty, as the company may not even be in business in 10 years? Depends. What's important to you? What's important to you? A lifetime warranty? I mean, probably not, because there's ways that they can easily get out of that. Like if the company sells, or they're not taking on that liability, or there's a separate fund that has to be there, blah, 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 blah. So those are the options. But yeah, I mean, on that stuff, I find far too many landlords are way over analytical. It's like, you get 3 prices, you understand who they are as companies. You're not hiring the biggest guy in the area. You're usually hiring the guy that has between, 1 and 2 trucks, and that has the proven track record. And the dad's been doing it for 20 or 30 years, or the guy that's owned it has been doing it for 20 or 30 years, not the guy that's been doing it for 3. That's just kind of fairly straightforward stuff. Dan M, dude, thank you so much for the detailed response. Dan, my pleasure, man. My pleasure. I know I wrote out that email. I probably just didn't send it. Robert Fernelli, on the subject of leases, tenant wants to go month to month. Lease ends in April. He is currently looking for a house. He proposed a rent increase from $1,700 to $1,850 with 90-day notice. Is this legal? Great 2-year tenant. Only heard from him twice in 2 years. Yeah, I mean, I would go to 1850. 90-day notice. Yeah, 90-day notice is legal. Yeah, sure. He can. Yeah, I mean, it's whatever you agree to. The only thing that I would be cautious of is making sure that, let's see, April, May, June, July, August. Yeah, what you got to make sure is that there's no line that goes past September 1. You just have to make sure that you've got that thing back on the market, that you're renting it in August at the latest. Yep. So that's the only thing you're really trying to manage with there. The rest of it is what terms you agree to. Month to month tenancy, that 90-day notice is required, and that rent will be owed for the entire 90-day period, regardless of residency, that sort of stuff. Liz, currently have a single family home with $30,000 in equity. Cool. Ready to get out of this high mortgage payment and save some money. Would you recommend house hacking a multifamily, or get another single family house with a lower payment and rent my current home? Multifamily. I'd be looking at multis if you can find, or a house with an ADU. And then I wouldn't live in the house. I'd live in the ADU. If you can live with the idea of living in the ADU, I would live in the ADU and I'd rent out the house. A lot of money to be made doing that strategy. We always ended up in the worst unit. By design. I wanted to rent out the most expensive unit, and I didn't have any kids. It was just me and Ashley. We didn't have any special requirements. I wanted the worst unit in any building that I was house hacking, because I wanted the most money for the other space. And it in most cases, when I was renting out the other space was paying for my entire mortgage. Maybe my entire mortgage minus a couple $100. That's a far better strategy. But yeah, I would do multifamily if you can find them around where you are. But single family with a ADU is probably your best bet. Dion talk. Every time you hit the like button, an angel gets his wings. I got the chance to hang out with Dion yesterday, and we're gonna hang out sometime tomorrow too. Dion, you can text me on what you want, what time you want to do tomorrow. I think I have. Just text me because I've got a couple things that I got to do tomorrow. But just text me. Big Hill, hey gang, happy March. Hey Big Hill, happy March. Rankin Projects, I am falling asleep. Got appraisal scheduled for Monday on a burr and looking at another property tomorrow. Very cool. That's awesome. Love the activity. Wealth of Rentals. Thanks for the super chat or super sticker. Appreciate you. Like I said, don't overthink it. It really comes down to get 3 bids, but I would look up all the different companies because you don't, and look at what some of their reviews are online. I don't want the big polished company that has the big pretty vans and the big pretty trucks and they're going to show up with their freaking crane. That's not the one that I want, because I know they're going to be twice the price of anybody else. But if you do that post into like a construction group, if you do that post into some sort of like a local group, if you do that lookup, you will get, and you just say, hey, this is a product that I have, please let me know. And reference, and just say something like references required. You can absolutely do that. Yeah. And then you just look up the companies and then you contact those companies and then, keep on going until you have 3 or 4 of those kind of companies that fit that profile that are willing to come out and take a look at the work. I think you're going to get your best price then. But I think it is insightful that they might not be around for, a lifetime. I think too often people get goofy on some of that stuff. And it's like, dude, like, what's the chances they're going to be around in 50 years? They might be, but I'm much more concerned about, asking the question of what that lifetime warranty is. And if for some reason they weren't around, how does that work? Does it then go to the vendor that made the product? That's the follow-up question that I would ask now that I think about it. Liz, what do you think about flipping 5+ commercial unit buildings? Buy with low rent and potentially to add value, raise rents and stabilize. Would you keep it or sell it after a few years? I still keep those assets. I don't see any reason to get rid of an asset that I've just made future-proof. Like if you're doing it my way is you buy an extremely undervalued asset with low rents that needs a bunch of work. And then over the course of a few years, you basically get to the point where you pretty much completely redone the building. Now the rents are up 30, 40, 50%, sometimes 100%. I've bought one of the buildings that I bought. When I bought it, every single rent was between $1,000 and $1,100. It's times 5. The building was doing, I think, $5,300 or $5,200 a month in income. I said, you know what? This place is an absolute dump. We got to get people out of it. We got everybody out of it. And then we've been rehabbing it. When that place is fully rehabbed, all 5 of those units won't go for $1,100. They'll go for about $2,000 or $2,100 a month. So that property is literally going to go, that property is literally going to go from $5,300 a month in rental income to probably $10,500. Now it's a commercial property. I can do whatever I want with it. I can then sell the thing based on the big, huge rents and all that stuff. Possibly I could do that. However, why would I want to get rid of something if my cost basis is still like $3,800? That's going to be my cost basis, $3,800 to $4,100, right around there. So that one building will make $6,000 a month. Do I want to kick that thing out of the portfolio fast? I really don't. I'm not really interested. What I really want to do is make $6,000 or $7,000 a month on that, kind of forever, because then I'll have, I've got 5 or 7 year debt. I think I have 5 or 7 year debt on that. I don't know if it's 5 or 7, but the rate was, 7. So is it going to be 8, 9, or 10? It's possible, but it's far more likely that it's, either in this range or lower, which means when it readjusts and 4 more years, I'm probably going to have a rate in the 5s, I would guess. Maybe 6s, but probably 5s. And in that particular case, I'd talk to the bank and ask them if there's any way that I could buy the loan down or buy the rate down and then maybe get around $5,000, $5,000 a month of an instead of, $6,000 or $6,500, but then still having the rents increase over those years time where, maybe I get to 11, maybe I get to $12,000 a month. So consistently that building should make 50 to, and because I've redone it, all the heating systems have been taken care of, all the flooring, all the electrical, all the roof, the siding, Everything's been done, and all the plumbing fixtures, and all the bathrooms, all the kitchens, everything will be completely brandy new. My experience has been when I do a project like that, I'm 10 years of basically zero phone calls. And then when you get to the 10-year time, you start to see some things, but it's usually around the appliances. It's not around the other stuff. So I'm probably future-proofing myself for 20 years there. And I'll make, let's say, $7,000, $6,000 or $7,000 a month on one building, making, $72,000 to, $90,000 a year on a profit on one building. How many of those do you need? And what am I going to do? Even if I sell the thing, I might get a little over $1 million for it. And I think I owe like 400,000 or 500,000 on it. What am I going to do with the 500,000 in cash? I much rather have all of that money coming in the door. Financial firefighter. Hey, Mark. Aloha from Hawaii. Good to see you, friend. Maria 28. How are you protecting yourself from an economic downturn as a landlord? Diversification of my tenant pool is one way, Maria. So it's a great question. So I'll have, we have a base nearby, so we get some military. We have retirees. We have Section 8. We have what we call market tenants. And then we also have college tenants, college students. So those 5 different strategies mean that my tenant pool is never going to be affected across the board. Section 8 always pays. Retirees are on a fixed income. The military, they largely always pay because there's ramifications if they don't pay. So what am I really worried about? I'm really worried about the market and the students. Well, the students, they get their student loans, so they pay. So really only the market students are really the only ones out there that you have to like generally consider. And even if that's a third of my portfolio, well, so that's 50 or 60 units. And so let's say there's a 10% unemployment. If there's 10% unemployment, most of those units are going to have multiple roommates in them or families in them. At that point, my exposure is pretty small to the market. Second thing is I have a low loan to value. I might have a, 50% loans. I think across my portfolio, I'm sub 50% now, or sub 55% as far as balance owed to value. And so the market could go down, but it's not going to affect my payment because the way that I really, assessed my risk was I needed to lock in as many payments as I could. So my payments across the board in about 85 to 87% of my portfolio are fixed rate payments. They're not going to move. So I'm insulated there from any major issues. And then lastly is cash flow. So the cash flow that I have coming in, number one, I have savings, so I can, kind of weather almost any downturn because not everybody won't pay, just a percentage won't pay. And then largely I can probably pay that out of profit because the portfolio is so profitable. But even if I need to dip into savings for a year or a year and a half or something like that because of some major economic downturn, then we just won't make as much money. We got to chip some money back into it. We also own some properties that we own free and clear with no debt. So if we needed to lever some of those up, we could lever some of those up with debt. We could sell some of those off. And instead of only getting 50 or 60% of the value, we could sell them off and get 100% of the value. So, I don't know the exact number. I want to say it's maybe 3 buildings now, 3, 4, something like that. So 3 or 4 buildings right now that have no debt, so those 3 or 4 buildings combined are worth between 1.4 and 1.8 million, right around there. So we could sell them off. If the economy is really down, we could at least lever them up with debt, but we could create $1 million from thin air pretty easily. But again, you get to that point by having done this for a certain amount of time, having continued to have pricing pressure in your market and adding to your rents, and then growing your business over time. Let me know if that answered the question, Maria. You should tell the troublemaker to go to work. I know, right? Oh, I did. But now I'm going to show him going to work. What a turd that guy was. Master Coach University. Oh, thanks so much for the super chat. I really appreciate that. This is an official gold star. Thank you for your fantastic contribution to my development with rentals. Check your email. Need to mail a gift. Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. To all, take the boot camp. I really appreciate that. Positive ROI, 2 times, 5 times, 10x, etc. is guaranteed. Master Coach, I really appreciate that. That means a lot to me. If you guys are considering the course, guys, I know that it will make a difference in your business. If you don't have a business yet, it will make a difference in your business. If you have 4 rentals, it'll make a difference in your business. If you have 10 rentals, it'll make a difference in your business. We had one person that had 70 rentals. They were saving $5,000 a month after they finished the course. Things that they took from their course that they were able to enact right away. $5,000 a month in that person's portfolio. $60,000 in a year net. That's pretty cool for a $2,000 course. Just saying. Hopefully that helps. But Master Coach, I'm honored. It was great you're a great student. You did a phenomenal job. You still set the standard for what a rent box should look like. So truly, it was a pleasure having you in the class, and I'm glad that it's working out as well as it is. Matt, I've mentioned in the past, I have a lot in the Lakes region of New Hampshire. Yep. I know that you do have that. I know you were talking about developing it. I know development prices are just crazy right now. Lars, how are you, sir? Good afternoon. I'm in a sauna listening, have an event tomorrow that I need to be healthy for. Time to sweat out the weakness. Oh, Lars, I wish you the best, my man. It's been a brutal winter this year. Our family was sick for about 2 months, just taking turns rolling back and forth. This is the first week. Thank you, God. This is the first week that we haven't had somebody walking around with a major sniffle issue. So honestly, what a miracle, and it's awesome. So we're very grateful. Zodiac 2. I miss Mike. Hopefully the 3 amigos will be together soon. Will you and Dion shoot a video together? We did. I think it'll get posted probably sometime. We actually did 2 together. We'll do 2. We'll do more tomorrow. I don't know what the plan is. I got D will text me and then I got to figure out what the day looks like. I got a couple things tomorrow. I'm meeting with a developer tomorrow. And I'm meeting with doing some consulting on a deal and an offer, and how to basically win that deal. And then I'm doing some consulting on a building project that's different from the developer. She invests. What would Lumberjack Landlord do? Well, let's read the question and find out. Contractor forgot to add the price of roof to our contract when all the jobs, new fire escape, porch tear down and rebuild, new siding, roof were done. Contractor presented a price of $32,000 more than our contractor price. We settled with them and paid $4,000 more. How would you have handled the situation? Just like that. You did a great job. She invests. Yeah, you did a great job. There's, it's on you to be thorough throughout the process. That was gracious of them to do it for the 4. It definitely was their fault. But if you were really looking closely at the contract, you would know that you definitely needed a roof. And that's what the purpose of review of the quote is. I want to review everything, make sure it has everything on there that I need, because there's no time like the present than to get that done, because it could have been $32,000 more. And they just been said, hey, pound sand, we're not doing that for you. That's something that you definitely want to take a look at. So the big thing is just being thorough on any contract that you're signing. You guys got to read them. We actually purposely put something in our lease, and we never, ever, 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 ever have anybody raise it. It's something silly, but no one ever raises it, ever. Yep. I don't think most people even read these leases. It's amazing. I think most of them don't even read the leases. Lars, good afternoon from Oregon. My Penguins better flip Luke Shen. Otherwise they trade Bunting away for nothing. Yeah, probably. They're talking about moving on from Marchand. It's a little bit heartbreaking. I think they're going to break up the team. And the only reason that's heartbreaking is because Don Sweeney is the worst general manager in all of hockey. Well, rentals. I feel like you had a long day today. I hope all is good. Yeah, I did have a long day today. All is good. Just a long day, only because my daughter had surgery this morning. And so I was up super, 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 super early, getting all the other kids ready for school. Cause usually the ready for school thing is my wife. And then, because usually in the morning I'm busy with contractor stuff. Like that's the 1 hour of a day that you actually would consider what I do work. I'm making sure everybody's going to the right places, making sure we're checking in on any issues. That sort of stuff. Yeah, that sort of stuff. Do, 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 do. Just check and see what that is. Blech. Cool. All right. Joe Aiello, map my lot. NH, yep. Lakes region was finally surveyed as I thought. My neighbor has a large shed on my lot. How would you proceed? Want to protect my property lines for future build? Yeah, so I would just contact them and let them know. Just say, hey, we did the survey. It looks like, sadly, it looks like, this is on my property. I would like to have it, I would like to have you move it. The guide starts to become difficult. You can say, listen, I'm not trying to be difficult, but if we need to go the difficult way, we certainly can, but just know that I'm going to come after court costs because there's no reason for this to go. You're clearly on my land. It was surveyed. You're clearly on my land. Now, Joe, if you don't need that part of your land, then I would tell him that I'm happy to give you an easement and come up with a cost for the easement. It's a nice way to get a few $1,000 in your pocket. If it doesn't impact any of the other stuff, you could give them an easement. So long as it's not like smack dab in the middle of your lot. But let's say your lot is a few acres. Let's say it's on a far left corner, far right corner. Let's say it's tucked away somewhere and it's just over the line by 10 or 15 feet. Then, okay, fine. If it's already on pylons or whatever, give an easement, charge an amount. That's how I would do it. But yeah, you need to make them aware because for obvious reasons, you can't build on my land. It's mine. All-nighter hider. Josh Coster. Hey, Josh Coster. How are you? You answered my question. My mom has 14 rentals and tenant diversification is key. It really is. Tenant diversification really is key. The other thing too is that, Dion takes it to kind of an nth degree where he really puts all of his places really far away from each other. I don't want that. I want closeness, but you can get diversification within different neighborhoods. There are some that are super high end neighborhoods. It's like, that's the street to be on. Then there's also ones where it's like, yeah, like that's a nice area. And then there's other ones where it's like, yeah, I mean, that's an up and coming area, but still kind of a little bit rough, but affordable. And then there's the D class stuff where it's like, and thankfully in most of our cities, I think in one city, there might be like 3 or 4 streets that are like that. And in another one of the cities, there's maybe another 3 or 4 streets that are like that, where it's like, I don't want to be there. I know that that's a constant problem area. Outside of that, all my other stuff is usually at least a distance away. It's usually at least a distance away from those things. Yeah. Yep, for sure. But yeah, that's the way so mom's smart. She's doing it the right way. Jim Fantassel, it makes a big difference just starting out. No need to make unnecessary mistakes. Jim, I appreciate you saying that. Jim is a longtime contractor. Does he need my help with contracting? No, but I can help him with the process by which to do things, who to reach out to, what the right people to reach out to are. I can share with him, hey, this is how we manage the tenant in this situation. So even Jim being a, contractor for decades, still in the course. Why? He doesn't need my contracting help, but I can show him some of the quick ideas and things that I've done that eliminate cost. And he's like, yeah, that actually saves me a bunch of money. That's great. That's one of the things that we do. Let's see here. John Williams, I have 2 rentals that made a difference in my business. John, I appreciate you saying that. It was awesome because one of the really cool things we were able to do for John was he had a rental that just wasn't renting. We changed up the ad. We reran the ad within 4. He'd been on the market for 6 or 8 weeks. Within 4 days, he had a new tenant. That's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. That's something he can be proud of, that, he's like, hey, we got to get this fixed. So I love being part of the solution. Zodiac 2 sounds amazing. Can't wait to see them. Yeah. Yep. I totally agree. Hey, Ramirez Real Estate Team. Good to see you, sir. Good to have you. I hope you're doing great. Wayne Smith, I found my favorite blue wrench. Hey, ANH. Nice. Wealth building journey. Always read the fine print. Go paragraph by paragraph. How to eat an elephant one bite at a time. That's exactly right. You got to go through and you got to be making sure that you're hitting all of these different aspects of these deals. So often there's something there that you might not even have considered, and it's going to bite you. Like, what's the point? Like, really? You know? Chris Culp, Matt, I struggle with the easement piece. One day I could use that space to expand. How to price? Um, you could use that space to expand. How to price? Yeah, I mean, I think that that's where you have to kind of get a gut feel. You can also have like a right of first refusal. It really has to be like that's where you have to talk to your town, and you have to ask them, or you talk to the survey and you say, hey, in this town, what are the rules? Is that going to stop me from getting my maximum? Like, let's say it's 2 acres even, right? And the law is, or the statute is, that you have to be 2 acres to build something, to build what you want to build. But you gave that easement. Well, now you're in trouble and you're going to have to go for a variance, and that's not going to go very well. It's not. So you have to keep in mind, again, or maybe you just make it, hey, it's a use model. Hey, just, it's $100 a year, or it's $200 a year, or you can just move it. That's your option. You don't necessarily have to sell it. You could lease it, with your ability to call it back. That way you're not giving up land. That's an option as well. Nicole Weigel. Good to see you, Nicole. Also, my town has a gas leak. Gas company overpressurized the system and lots of people's regulators broke. Awesome. I had a tech out last night and he didn't try and locate the source of the leak. We had to pay for our plumber to come out and source it. Can we send the bill to the gas company for reimbursement? You can certainly fight them for it. You can try. I don't know how successful you'll be, but you can try. Yeah. Talk to a manager there and talk to them about the fact that, if you weren't to receive fair compensation for this being done, then you would just have to report it to the Utilities Commission. That might motivate them. Jim Van Tassel, I learn something new every day. If not, I'm doing something wrong. True story. Well, you might be learning something new every single day because you are doing something wrong. That's funny. Oh, that was so delicious. John Williams, true story. Yeah, it went great, John. And I'm thrilled. Like things like that. I talked to a landlord today. Kid you not, guys. This would scare the crap out of me. They have 150. They have about my size, 150 units. Now that I think about it, they have 60 vacancies. 60. And they don't think price is the issue. Of course, price is the issue. So I'm literally coming up with, pay me $50,000 and I'll fix that problem for you in 90 days. Because I would just put my plan in place. I'd plug my team in and get everything rented. That is likely. There is a high likelihood of that happening. There is a high likelihood of that happening. Let's see. Where's that alert? Just trying to see what that alert is. All right. What was it like getting interviewed by yourself at ORAT? Yeah. It was really funny. So for those of you who don't know, John's referring. I just see that I went past your wealth rentals. I'll come back. I promise. That was a really funny story. Zoob comes to me and he goes, hey, I think he said this kid's dad or this guy or something like that wanted to interview you or something like that. And I was like, yeah, sure. Of course. And so, I met the kid and he's 18. He's an 18-year-old kid. His name is Micah. Super smart kid. Really enjoy him. Really enjoyed our time together. He did a great interview. He came prepared. He actually had written down a bunch of questions, which I really felt it was honorable of him to do that. He valued my time more than almost anybody else does. And so I felt like that was really cool of him. his parents are spectacular parents. Rick and his mom, or Rick is his dad, and then his mom, I can't recall her name. I'm horrible with names. Sorry if you end up watching this. But he was raised right, and he's a grinder, and he's a hustler, and he's a worker, and he's focused on the right things, his business, growing his business, his faith, quality mentorships in his life. He's like, I have some friends my age, but a lot of the people that I spend time with are in their 50s, 60s, and 70s. The kid's as long as he stays focused, as long as he doesn't let the noise of life get to him, there's no doubt he's going to be outrageously successful. He should never go into a W-2 job. He should 1000% continue to be the entrepreneur that he is. He has a landscaping business and kind of a do-it-all type of business. And he is doing, I think he's doing like 9 or 10 grand a month. And then he said some months they're as high as like 12 and 14. He's a good kid. He's a good kid. He's a smart kid. He's a hard worker. And so it was, I had a blast with doing all the extra interviews, even though Dion was sick and I was kind of filling in. You guys know I'm not an interviewer. So I was just having fun spending time with some people that I hadn't gotten to spend time with. And it wasn't all about numbers. I think, I've seen a couple of comments. I've not seen all of them, but I've seen a couple of comments like, well, share specifically the deals. No, you really need more deal information. No, you need to hear what their life journey was. You need to hear what they went through, because far too often I hear people that are whining about how hard it is. Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, it's hard. It's a lot of extra work. Yeah, it's hard. Yep, sure is. I want you to hear that other people, that it was really hard for them too. And that it wasn't like always this whiz bang thing, that it was put together quickly. It's hard. And that's what I want you guys to experience. And I wanted you to experience a lot of that in those interviews where, Jeff and Suleika, I mean, awesome couple, they spoke after Ashley and I did on day 2, and just listening, they would share, like Jeff and Suleika, when they were married, were sharing an apartment with 3 other single dudes. Like, I mean, come on, like who's willing to do that? And so they were willing to do what it took to get to where they got to. And so now they're on house hack number 8. And I think it's just awesome. I mean, I just have the utmost respect for those guys. I like them as people. I had fun hanging out with them, but it was a good time. It was a good time in the interview room, but yeah. But it was funny, John. So I say all that to say this. One of the production team that was in the room said, "Have you ever seen anything like that?" And I said, "Yeah, about 30 years ago when I looked in the mirror." So it's funny that you say that, because that was the one thing that I felt I felt like I instantly connected with the kid, with Micah. And I did, because that was exactly the way I was. I was just 180 miles an hour, full bore, only focused on attaining the task, or accomplishing the task and attaining the goal. I just don't feel like I missed anything. I don't feel like I missed all the drunken nights at college. I don't feel like I missed my car getting towed, or all the other noise about, drama and relationships. And I just don't feel like I missed that. I'm so blessed to have had the life that I did. But yeah, there obviously was a ton of sacrifice there, and that's okay. Not everybody's willing to do that. I talked to somebody and they were just like, "No, that just seems like a lot of work to me." You're right. You shouldn't do it. They're like, "What?" I was like, "You shouldn't do it." Nope. Shouldn't do it. Like, wow. I was like, "Yeah, you're not cut out for it. You're going to fail." They're like, "Excuse me?" I go, "Yeah, you're going to fail. No doubt in my mind, you're going to fail." Why do you say that? Because you're not even interested in even thinking about doing the hard things. You can't even put yourself in a position where you can think about doing the hard thing. It scares you too much. Just don't even try. Don't even bother. Like, it's a waste. You're going to fail. You're going to fail. And it's probably going to be such a failure that it's going to, scar you for life, and that you'll struggle the rest of your life. Don't even bother. Walk away. Walk away. Don't do the deal. Figure something else out. Do something else on the easy path that doesn't exist. Knock yourself out. It's kind of crazy. Oh my goodness. I just scrolled and that thing crushed. Sorry, guys. Let's see. Wealthy rentals, 2 houses, one in a very residential area and one more of an industrial area. Which one do you prefer? Feels like a quiet residential, but too much supply. If it feels not quiet in the second, but less supply. I mean, it's always a supply and demand, but I'm doing things based on the rent box. I'm building my rent box. I'm working my way backwards and seeing which one's going to give me the best return. That's what I'm going to do. That's what I would do. Hey, Wayne, my rebel capitalist brother. Good to see you. Oh, very cool. That I think that event's, I haven't, that event's coming up or something like that. Yeah. Zodiac 2. I was wondering if you do the 50-40-10 with velocity, will you have 2 loan payments you'll have to make after putting the 10% down? Yes, I do. And yes, I did. So yes, I did. And yes, I do. I've done them. And yes, you have a second payment. Yep. Sure do. Chris Culp, best way to get the attention of utility is to report them to the State Utility Commission. Exactly. Tried to get estimated to extend gas 300 feet to our house for a year, but no result. Then wrote the state PUC, got lots of attention, $75K cost, so he passed. Exactly. It's a way to get them to respond. So on something this small, I would think that if you threaten that, then it will cost them more times with letters that come across to their attorneys than what it would actually cost to do that. Yeah. So that's good. Yeah, Chester has his own business, wealth building journey. He has his own business. It was great. Dividend Dave, good to see you, sir. Buzztune, the noisy tenant story was hilarious. Oh yeah, I know. I wish I could share the rest of that story, but I can only share so much. But yeah, it was pretty funny. Let's see. Crimson Knight. Yes. Real estate is hard. I'm required to work 80 hours a week, or I need Matt to have a talk with me, like sales guys who didn't get their numbers back in the day talking to their bosses. And I'm right now calling it night working and still have an hour and 15-minute drive home. Yeah. I mean, Robert gets it. Like, he's all in. He has a plan where he wanted to accomplish all of this stuff in at least 5 years or less. And, you know, he's been aggressive in his growth. He's been aggressive in doing a lot of the work to speed things up and to keep costs down. And so that's a guy who's completely committed to the cause, you know, and completely committed to the mission, because he sees what his goal, he knows what his goal, he knows what he wants his goal to be. So, you know, that's the kind of guys that's the kind of people that I love doing work with, because because they're going to give it everything they have. And they're not going to quit. They are going to work hard. They recognize that it's hard work. And guys, you get rewarded. You know, he had basically 0 rentals when we started, and now he's got 4. And, you know, he's producing a significant amount of income. Like, he's only a few buildings away from being able to retire, and he's still really young. And that's honestly, like, that's one of the reasons I still do that. That's one of the reasons I still do the boot camps twice a year. Is because I love twice or 3 times a year. It's because I love just hearing those stories and being a part of that and trying to help you guys get across the goal line faster. So yeah, that's that. What was the other story? I had a story. Oh, so I have a story for you. So here's another story. And we'll probably end on this. If you have a couple questions, I'll still handle those. But so here's the kind of the final story for the evening. So I was talking to an investor, and he said, you know, so and he owns property himself. And so, you know, he had a tenant, and they were like, hey, listen, we really want to sign a 6-month lease. And he says, no, I don't want to do a 6-month lease. It needs to be a 1-year lease. They're like, well, just know at the end of the year, we're going to leave. And he goes, well, why are you going to leave? Why do you know you're going to leave at the end of the year? They said, well, because we're going to buy a house. He goes, oh, okay. So where are you shopping? And they're like, oh, we're shopping for this. And here's our list. And here's everything we want. And blah, blah. And we're not sacrificing anything on the list. He goes, okay, that sounds good. And he goes, so he says, you know, coming up to the 1-year lease, he reaches out to them 30 days before and says, hey, so, you know, so did you find a place? You know, did you find a place that you're going to buy? And their answer was, no, you know, the market, you know, got a little bit more expensive. This is 9 years ago. The market got a little bit more expensive. And so, you know, we're not, it's not really, you know, we're basically just going to batten down the hatches and just keep on saving and try and get ahead of it. And every single year they've continued to sign a 1-year lease. Year number 2, same story. Year number 3, same story. Year number 4, same story. Year number 5, same story. Except now the gap is widening. The gap of what they're saving and bringing in versus what the market is actually going to cost. It continues to spread like this. And it continues to, the market continues to do this, and their money continues to be worth less and less and less. It's like we always tell you guys. So 9 years in, this year they finally buy something. So you might say, hey, congratulations, guys. You finally got exactly what you wanted. Yeah. Well, they didn't. They waited 9 years. They rented 9 years. And this is in a very high rent area, meaning like $4,000 a month for a condo, $4,000 a month. So $48,000, call it 50 grand a year and some ups and downs and blah, blah, blah. 50 grand a year for 9 years. They spent $450,000 in cash on rent. And what did they end up doing? They got everything on their list except for one thing, the location. They could never afford to move into the town they wanted. They actually couldn't afford to move into the town next to the town that they wanted, or next to that town, or next to that town, or next to that town. They moved 6 towns away to be able to afford the house that they wanted. And now the guy has a 45 to 55-minute commute every single day. It doesn't sound like a very awesome solution to me. So one of the things that we always tell you guys is be ready here, and obviously be ready here. When you fight to put this stuff together, your challenges, your shortcomings, your scary moments have not been wasted. They haven't been wasted. You guys are doing what most other people will never, ever do. That's what makes you very special people. It's hard to do what we do. You can stop at any time. It can be 5 buildings. It can be 10. It can be 50. It can be 100. I know some people that are over 1,000 units and they're still like, yeah, I just keep on building it because I got a big, huge company now. And what do I care? Like, I'll keep on growing it because we have the processes in place and it's not really work for me. I'm like, okay. You know, I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about that. We could just as easily, we could go to 300 as we could go down to 100 or 80. Just as easily. I don't really know. We're kind of feeling it out and seeing like what we want to do after we get these last few projects done. I definitely want to take a break because I've pushed really, really, really hard for 6 years. And then with my daughter getting sick and all of that, yeah, I kind of want to break, but it's been a really fun 6 years. It's been a really blessed 6 years. So what I would tell you is you guys are doing amazing things. You guys are doing things that almost no one else will do. And don't listen to these losers who talk about, oh, that's really hard. Yeah, no shit. Oh, I wouldn't do that. No, I know. And that's why you're going to have to work forever. Yeah, no, I know. I get it. Get around people that are doing what you guys are doing. There's a great accountability group that Jared does on Sunday nights. There's a great accountability accountability group that Frank Contreras, the old guy REI, that he does. And then there's another great accountability group that's mostly just lumberjack folks. And that's on Tuesday nights. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything, but there's always a group of guys that show up there and talk about the deals that they're working on. It's amazing. It changes lives, and it doesn't change lives in 2 years or 4 years or 6. It usually takes 10 to 15 years to really start to change your life. But when you start to see that traction starts to happen and you start to see how life differs, it will absolutely blow your mind. It will just absolutely blow your mind. Anytime I want to get annoyed, I look at what I'm having to pay for something that I don't want to have to buy. But I'm blessed because the money's there to pay for it, you know? And it's a huge blessing in a relationship. 70 or 80% of the relationships break up because of money. What if you could eliminate the 80% of the chance that your relationship will break up? So you guys are crushing it. You guys work so hard doing what you do to accomplish and get what you have. Take a breath. Think about that, because you are in a different position than well over 90% of Americans. You're in a completely different position. Imagine getting laid off. I have a good friend that got laid off. She lived paycheck to paycheck. She had a big paycheck too, but always with the big vacations and the bags and the shoes and all this other stuff. And she got laid off. She doesn't have a whole lot. She has a whole lot of expensive things, but she doesn't have a whole lot of money sitting there. So she's nervous about getting her next job. And guess what? She's 50. Oh, I wouldn't want to be 50 and nervous about my job or finding the next job that's going to pay me as much as the last job where I had all these nice things and I built all this stuff. So we really are creating our own path when you become a real estate investor. So recognize that you're pretty awesome for what you've done. even if the business isn't going great right now, it doesn't matter. You're pretty awesome for having gotten as far as you did. Invest in yourself, find a way to make those things better so you can more enjoy the ride, but so you can get to your goal that much faster. So yeah. Wealth of Rentals, great story. Thank you. I've heard stories like that over like a 3-year span. I've never heard one over a 9-year span. I mean, that's just heartbreaking, and after all that, they're going to spend 7 figures to get into an area that's not anywhere, that's 7 towns away or 6 towns away from where they actually wanted to be. Man, that's a bummer. Oh, what a bummer. Wealth of Rentals. Yes, it is hard to do what we do. Absolutely it is. I know. Guys, raise your hand if you're the one that's closed on a deal the most recent. I signed papers on one on, I think it was Tuesday. So I know a couple of you guys are close, but I signed on one for Monday and Tuesday, and we'll close in a few weeks from now. But think about that. Like, I've been doing this for 23 years and I'm still doing deals. I remember what it's like to be poor. It sucked horribly. Wealth building journey. Being poor is hard. Yeah, no kidding. Being poor is hard. Being working class is hard. Being middle class is hard. Being upper middle class is hard. Being upper class is hard. Being part of the 1% is hard. Life is hard. Choose your hard. Wealth building journey. Chester, you're exactly right, man. You're exactly right. I can tell you, I like the hard a lot more in the 1% than I did ever being poor. It's a different kind of hard, but so worth it. So worth it. Jim Van Tassel, close. Yeah, that's right. You are close on. Yeah. So, I mean, that's the thing is I want to see activity in the group, guys. I want to see you guys writing offers. I want to see you doing deals. I want to see you calling up wholesale leads that Jen's team made for you. I want to see you doing that stuff, but we're in a community together where we're all still doing deals. I've done deals consistently. I did 3 last year. I sold 3 last year. This year I've sold 1, and this one will be the second one that I bought. So I'm still consistently doing deals because I know exactly what the market is and I know exactly what's happening in the market. And that's where I always want to stay in tune for you guys. So that way, when you're like complaining about X, Y, or Z, I can say, dude, I get it. I've done exactly the same. I know that's what I'm experiencing too, where it's a little bit different in my market. This is what's happening. Yeah. Wealth of Rentals. I did last Friday. Congratulations, Wealth of Rentals. That's awesome. John Williams. Thanks, Matt. The tenant has been there 2 years, by the way. Guys, 2 years. That tenant's been there for 2 years. 2 years. I mean, I love it when tenants stay 2. I like it more when they stay 3, and I like it even better when they stay 4. Jason Calasabetta. Speaking of that, I'm under contract for another 4-plex, hoping inspection goes well Saturday. Jason, that's awesome, man. That's so, guys, I love hearing that you're getting deals, man. I love hearing that you're writing paper. That's just so huge. So Jason, let us know. So Saturday night, yeah, let us know how it goes. Interested to hear. 4-plexes, I love them. I wish there were more of them where I was. I can tell you 4-plexes. Here's what's really funny. The single family homes here are down from the high. They're down a little bit from the high. My example of I put one out for $450 based on all the analysis and I couldn't get 4 for it. So I pulled it off the market and I'm going to turn it into a duplex. Film at 11 on that one. I'll talk to you guys about that one next week because on the 11th is when we go for our approval to make that a duplex, and I'll teach you how I did that. But yeah, just looking at the market and those small multifamilies compared to the single family houses gotten a little bit stagnant. They're definitely down in price. We'll see if that, see what happens going into springtime. I talked to 3 or 4 brokers today and they said they're definitely seeing some activity. They're definitely having more conversations about stuff coming to the market. So I think we're going to see a number of houses come to market. We'll see if they sell or not. But what's really crazy is that we just broke records again last month. Guys, in a time of year where we don't sell stuff, we're breaking records still on small 2, 3s, and 4s. If you guys remember 2 years ago on the tail end of COVID, I said the greatest asset to be buying is going to be small multifamily. It's remained true. It's been the most resilient price-wise, continued increase in rents. And again, in our area, holy Toledo. I mean, we're seeing stuff, a fourplex in our area 10 years ago would sell for 400 to 500. And now small two bedroom, one bath duplexes are selling for over 400. Regular duplexes that are, 4 bedrooms aside, one bath, like the old classic Victorian or old classic New Englanders, they're still selling in the sixes, between $600,000 and $700,000. 4 units now are going for over $1 million. They're going for over $1 million where we are. It's just amazing. I have a 4 unit that was just appraised at 1.35 million. A 4 unit. I stole this one. Bought it from a bank. I bought it from a bank 6 years ago. I bought it for $185,000 and I put a little over $200,000 into it. So I was into it for about $400,000. And now that building is worth, $1.35 million. More importantly is it does 11 something thousand bucks a month in rent. That's more important. And I've got 30-year fixed rate debt on the asset at 4%. It's a good day, Tater. Hey, Jen Tam, how are you? I hope you're doing great. Julie Anderson, you take care of everything and everyone. What do you do to take care of yourself? Julie Anderson, that's a great question. I'm good. I love my wife. I love my kids. I love spending time with my kids. I love spending time with my friends. Love spending time with you guys, honestly, and being a part of your journey. It's a lot of fun for me. And Dion said it in a post that he did this last weekend, or maybe a couple days ago. And he just said something to the effect of, life is amazing when you help people. Let me see if I can find it. Dion, where the hell are you when I need you, buddy? He said, it's not like he's going to actually post on the reg. Dude. Let's see. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can just find it. Here, let's try this a different way. Yeah, I suck at this. I hate social media. You guys know this. The more people you help, the better your life will be. It was too hard for me to remember that. And I enjoy helping people. It's fun. There he is. Thanks, Dion. I had to find your freaking note. But he's not wrong. Dion challenges me because he gives even more than I do. Like Millennial Mike and Dion and I feel like we're really, we're close with Zoob too. Don't get me wrong, but Zoob's really busy and he has a ton of stuff going on. And so, Dion, I'm just waking him up in between naps. And Millennial Mike is crazy busy, but he always answers even when we put something in his DMs, or in his texts early in the morning or late at night. So I'm just really blessed to be able to do life with you folks and be able to do it with Dion and Mike. And it's been a really fun ride the last 3 years. And yeah, we'll just keep on going. Yeah, I'm excited for my kids next year. And the new stuff that we're going to be doing next year with the kids. We're going to have a little bit more freedom, cause we're pulling them out of school and we're going to do homeschooling. Mainly just to get freedom, so we can, go on vacation for a month and not really think about it. I got jealous of Dion. Dion and Mike are doing such good work that, Mike's gone for a month on an Asian cruise. And then, Dion's going to be in Thailand for 2 freaking weeks. Show off. I love it though. I love it. So Julie, that's what I get. That's what feeds me is I get to help people. And then honestly, I like, silly for me, but I like collecting sports cards, baseball and hockey cards and some stuff like that with my son. And with my daughter, I just watch how flexible she is and how flexible I'm not. But yeah, I'm super blessed and I get to spend a lot of good time with my family. Let's see. Jesse Mao. Hey, hello. If a tenant stays for 3 years and more, would you still increase their rent even their rent is still below market? Yeah, of course. Sure. A binder strategy. In all honesty, I would look up Dion's binder strategy and I would do that. Channel 6 San Diego. Greetings to all. Greetings to you as well. RE Travel. Hi, Matt. How do you decide whether to update the electrical when doing a unit turn? That's a great question. Are there any issues with the existing? Are you getting a lot of popping of breakers or worse fuses? You should upgrade that. But really it comes down to, what's the quality and condition of the system that's there? If it's circuit breaker and Romex, I'm not upgrading it. If it's a bunch of cloth, and if it's a bunch or knob and tube or BX, or fuse, yeah, all of that stuff I'm upgrading. Yep. Yeah, for sure. Good question. Yeah, I hope Jason's deal is an awesome deal. I agree. Good luck. Channel 6 San Diego. Matt, can 1031 my primary to build a new house like kind? I think so. I think the only criteria is you still have to hit the strike price, but I would talk to, just to double check on that. I would talk to a 1031 expert. You can reach out to Chris Brown at Edmund and Wheeler. And then if you do a 1031, just be respectful and use them to do your 1031. So ask them questions about a 1031. They're a quality firm. I do all my 1031s with them, but I highly recommend Chris Brown at Edmund and Wheeler, and you can tell him I sent you. Dion Talk, there he is. The more people you help, the better your life will be. True story. And Dion helps people all the time. I give him an opportunity to help me every day. Wealth of Rentals, the more people you help, the better your life will be. Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. Jason Calcebetta, thanks everyone. I walked a property a couple months ago. I didn't see anything wrong that stood out. I already know it needs a $45K roof. But now I got a roof, but I got a $40K credit. Holy cow, that's awesome. BF, how you doing, man? It's been forever. Hope you're doing awesome. Yeah, hope you're doing awesome. Good to see you too, sir. Jason Calcebetta, reverse that. 40K roof, 45K credit. Look at you, you show off. I love it. Dion helped me close my last deal and gave me a different perspective. He's great. Yeah, Dion's awesome. Julie Anderson, thumbs up to homeschool. Yeah, our kids were in a great school. And for us, we were just really blessed. Our kids all came back with, or the two oldest, they got tested and they came back with 98th percentile reading and math. And so the school that they go to is great. But it's a challenge teaching to that 98th percentile. Because most kids are obviously not in the 98th percentile. So what we're going to do is we're going to make an adjustment, and we're going to put them in a co-op, but there's a lot of other advanced kids in the co-op. And so I want that iron to sharpen iron. I'm not interested in Sam or Bryn, leading the pack by a mile. I'm far more concerned with the fact that they're striving to stay in the pack. That's what I want to see for them, because that push, that longing, that hard work that it will take for them to stay just in the pack, it's going to keep them sharp and it will make them better. BF, do you use realtors to rent your vacant properties? Yes, I do. If yes, are you seeing that realtors aren't as active as before the new broker laws took effect? So I use them differently, BF. I teach in my course how to hire a broker by the hour. So I don't give them, they're out of their minds if they think that I'm letting them use my copy, my pictures. They're not the ones signing the lease. All they have to do is do an open house and collect applications. They're out of their ever-loving gordita if they think I'm going to pay them 75% of a month's rent for that. So I actually pay by the hour. And when I pay by the hour, that agent, for me, the average cost of a rental is probably $400 or $500 and that's whether it's a $1,500 rental or a $3,000 rental. Yep. Chris Culp Stadium, 45K roof. Yeah, I mean, you could get a 45K roof. Usually a 45K roof is a big roof that's usually rubber membrane, because rubber membrane is about 2 to 3. It's usually about 3 times the price of a regular triple tab, or not triple tab, but architectural shingled roof. So yeah, you could be spending 45. I know some of the hurricane safe roofs, like that Ned Tux has done. His roof was $100,000 for his building. Not that big of a building. Joshua Melby, thanks for these lives, Lumberjack. Don't catch many of them live, but appreciate the opportunity to ask questions. The tithe answer was helpful a few weeks ago. Not many not many can answer that one. Joshua Melby, it's my pleasure. I'll always answer basically any question, but yeah, for us, our faith is important, and so we, recognize that as we were growing our business, we were tithers, and we really gave a lot back to the community financially. And yeah, that's a winning that's a winning formula. That is awesome, Matt. Congratulations to the kids. Yeah, I mean, thankfully, they didn't get the reading thing from me. They definitely got the math thing from me. So it's good to see Ashley's side pull up on something. She's because they're nice because of her. But yeah, the math is me. The reading is definitely her. So it's good. Crimson Knight, for the electrical always needs replacing because I didn't design it. My weakness. Yeah. So Robert goes over the top because he can do the electrical so easily that because he didn't design it, he'll make the changes himself and have a better system. And that's using your skills, gifts, and abilities for what they should be used for. So that's a good thing. Chris Culp, rubber membrane, my nemesis. Oh, so true. BF, got that. But do you see vacant rentals are staying on the market longer nowadays since the new laws took? No, no, sir. No. We posted a unit last Saturday. And they got the lease yesterday. So 4 days. Yeah, we're not seeing vacancies hang at all right now. Yeah. Jason Calasabetta. That's exactly what it is. Yeah, rubber. Yep. It's the size of two roofs. Yep, there you go. Knew it. Yeah, as soon as you popped out that number on a fourplex, I knew it was rubber membrane. Yeah, that was an easy one. Julie Anderson, that's great. Staying ahead of it, having high IQ child has its own challenges. It does, like I get it. Like for me, I was super bored in school. And so I would just tune out. I could mail it in and I could still get straight A's. So I was just bored out of my mind. And I was just like, and then I just started not even listening because it was such a waste of my time. And like none of the stuff that they were teaching was going to be of value to me. Literature and all these other things. I'm just like, I don't care. I don't give two rips. I want to, I think far too many people spend far too much time on things that they're bad at, trying to get better at them. Nope. You know where I spend all my time? And the things I'm really good at that I enjoy. That's how you go from good to elite, good to great, and great to elite. That's how you do it. So many people are just like, yeah, I'm really bad at that. So I'm really going to work on that. Why? I'm not afraid to say I'm bad at something. Nope. Suck at that. Nope. Horrible. Nope. No interest. Sit down and talk about my feelings or talk about somebody else's feelings. Ooh, no, not good at it. Can't work on it. Don't have any interest in working on it. I'm just not the guy. But if you have a problem that you want me to solve, yeah, piece of cake. I can also listen. I'm a really good listener. I ask you, listen or fix. So I have 5 sisters. Listen or fix. Listen. Cool. Go. At the end, still just listen. Yep. Okay, cool. No, I want you to fix it. Okay, here's what you do. Listen or fix. Yep. Yeah, funny stuff. BF, what days and times are you doing your live shows now? So this BF 9 p.m. Eastern time, 6 p.m. Pacific time on Thursdays. That's the only time I do my lives now. And then we're doing a project house that I'm doing walkthroughs of. I haven't been there in 2 months. A little over 2 months. I should be there. I'm not going to be this weekend because I got jammed up with a bunch of stuff with the kids, which is a good thing, not a bad thing. But probably sometime next week I'll be there. I'll do a live from there. Joshua Melby, advertising a vacant unit for just the second time. Thanks to your course, feeling confident in the process. Joshua Melby, I love hearing that. And, use the ad, tweak it, see what you start getting for people coming back. It could be really cool. Chris Culp, Matt, any revisions on your think on the impact of state budgets on Section 8? I feel like they will take a hit. I see Section 8 not expanding, or expanding less, maybe not at all, but less. But I don't see them making people homeless. I don't. They might lower the bar. So we did see for the first time ever them say, hey, in 6 months, this person's gone. out of the program. And we asked why, and they said because they now make too much money. Well, I know that her and her boyfriend, or her and her husband, I know work a decent amount, but I think they make like 85 grand a year. And so, yeah, they should be off of social programs. Sorry. Yep. That was me, bored out of my mind in school. Yeah, totally get it. Trust me, I get it. Yeah, bored out of my mind. But so Sam hasn't had like behavioral problems, but you can tell when he's bored. He's like, Dad, I was just sitting in my desk like he told me to, twiddling my thumbs. I said, did you help your other classmates? He goes, yeah, I got up and I got in trouble for helping my other classmate that was struggling with math. I go, what the freaking hell? What the freaking hell? So yeah, I'm not going to have him get disciplined because, he stood up to help a kid. I mean, he's a free teacher's aide and he's 7. I'm going to have to go negotiate his contract. Chris Cope, oh my goodness, such good counsel with 2 daughters. Ask, listen, or fix. Absolutely. First, and it will save you so much pain. It's 1,000% will. 1,000% it will. Listen or fix. No, don't default ever. No, don't default to fix. Default to listen. If they don't know, just default to listen. That's the best path. It works with wives really well too. Thanks, Dion. Cool. I love that, Julie. I agree. Crimson Knight, you are the one who I got the idea that every bedroom needs a 20 amp circuit and 20 amp window outlet. That's true. I don't want to. Yeah. So the reason why I tell you that, guys, is because a lot of times you're in an area where you actually, you need AC in the wintertime, but also you might, if you ever have a heat system go out, if you have a 20 amp outlet and breaker that's on its own line, you can plug a heater into that and keep the place at temp. So I do. When you're doing electrical, you should do at least one line in every room that's a dedicated 20 amp circuit. That's absolutely true. Robert, you are correct. Joshua Melby, 3 sisters for me. And yes, listen or fix is good advice. It's the best you'll ever find. Listen or fix. What's funny is I treat my brother-in-law the same way. Like, hey, I use some colorful words with him first, but then I say, listen or fix. He goes, yeah, I don't know. If you don't tell me listen, I'm going to fix it. All right, what do you got? I go, no. I don't need to force you to hear the advice. You can stay wallowing. I don't care. You can stay wallowing the muck that you created, jackass. But they're brothers. So they can live with it. Jesse Mao, that is a smart child when they are in trouble. Yeah, it is. I mean, and so what I got to make sure is I got to keep him energized by school. And that just means he needs to be challenged. And so if he's getting bored and he's not really fully challenged, the nice thing is with the other parents that we talked about in the co-op and the other parents that are doing the same program that our kids are going to be on, their schoolwork's done in about 2.5 hours. And what that really does is it opens up the door for us to do really specific stuff for them. Sam's doing a lot of skating and Bryn's doing that much more gymnastics. They can do more skating. They can do more gymnastics. They can also find some other interests with some of the other kids, but they can have more time for sports. They can really, truly do what they want. I told them, I said, the extra 6 hours a day that we're picking up, that's not meant for like video games and watching tablets. That's not what that's meant for. So we should be good. Homeschooling would have been the bee's knees for me. Yeah, totally. I did. So when I dropped out in the 9th grade, I had to still, so I wouldn't get a truancy case filed against me. I still had to test out. That was a really bad idea for them. That was a really bad idea. Because all I had to do was basically like kind of read, generally like peruse over the stuff. Did I care if I got an A? Why would I care? I would much rather do almost no work for the entire year and then do my 2-hour interview and pass and then go, yeah, you passed. I mean, we'd like to see more in this area. More. Yeah, did I pass? That's all I care about. Yep. Chris Culp, me, idiot for year 1 to year 49, defaulted to fix. I get it, dude. I get it. It's because we want to help. It's not coming from a bad place, but if they don't really want the fix, then yeah, it's kind of wasted. Now ask, listen, or fix. Much better life. Totally agree. Hyder just started his truck. Going to be traveling for a while. That's okay. We're almost done here. Jesse Mao, that was my son too. Yeah, I get it. And I gotta keep him motivated, keep him focused. Otherwise, he's going to think that school isn't the answer, and school is the answer. So long as you're learning skills, and especially at 7, he has a lot to learn. Jim Van Tassel, that is that is sometimes hard with all the arc fault rules and space requirements. Now I'm always adding sub panels now just for space requirements. Yeah, so that can certainly happen. The idea is that if you can do it, absolutely do it. And if you have to add another little sub panel to get there because you're already doing a bunch of the other electrical work anyway, then add the sub panel. That's what I do. Still just add the sub. That's what I would do. And then usually what we would do is we would take it and we would add, where it connects to in the other box with bigger breakers. And then we would come off that box to the sub panel and bring some of those breakers into there. Chris Culp, I heard a 10-minute podcast from Dr. Orion Tarabon about listen or fix, psych hacks, better living through psychology. Oh, very cool. I didn't even know that was a thing. Sorry. Yeah, I just learned in life. Joshua Melby, interesting perspective on whether to work on what you aren't good at all. I'll have to ruminate on that one. Not particularly handy, and I've been trying to improve, but eats up kid time. So Josh, you're exactly right. And so if you're really not good at something, but it is a required skill that you're going to have, obviously you can work on it, but in all likelihood, you can create something out of the time of something that you're really good at that will more than make up for the thing that you aren't really good at. And so that's where it's the ultimate life hack of why work on the things that I really suck at when I can work on the things that I'm really good at. And because I'm really good at them, I enjoy them, number one. And number two is I can create so much more margin for myself with the thing that I'm good at than struggling at the other thing. It's like trying to dunk a basketball. Why would I even bother? I'm a 6'1" white guy that's fat. Not going to be dunking. I'm not white chocolate. Ain't going to happen. So what do I have to do? If the requirement is dunk a basketball, I am going to spend a bunch of time on something that can pay me a lot more money and help me figure things out and be elite. And then from that, get funding to then get somebody to dunk a basketball for me, if that's still a requirement. Jen Tam, we have a dead rodent in the wall. Okay. And it's making our STR stink. Wildlife Services can't locate it. Any advice on how to get rid of the smell? So they usually only off gas for about 6 to 8 weeks. Yeah. So it might stink now, but it will only off gas for 6 to 8 weeks. The other option is Wildlife Services in most places is largely useless. They're not there to do anything like that. So what your best bet is to do, pick up the phone, call a couple pest control companies and tell them exactly what the problem is and say, how would you locate it? And then say, walk me through your process. And then if that feels like it's a good process and it feels like that's going to be minimal damage, then I would have that done first. Second thing is if you just don't want to pay the expense, you can try and do that yourself. And if you try and do that yourself, maybe you'll be successful at it. Maybe you won't. But yeah, usually a lot of times the death smell goes away. We've had it happen. After like 8 weeks, you couldn't really smell anything anymore. The way to get the smell to go away or at least be temporarily stuck or reduced is coffee grounds. Yeah, coffee grounds work really well. I like the carpet around it. Yep. Found an interesting issue with arc fault since they have to route neutral back to breaker. Random arc fault pops and found out electrician mixed up the neutrals, had wrong neutral going back to the two adjacent neutrals. Oh, very interesting. Yeah, so it's just a rewire issue. There are also those bad arc faults. You're welcome, Jen. There are also the bad arc faults that just like they go after 6 months or a year. It's a computer chip inside them. What's actually in our state is they passed a law called a nuisance law, which when that starts to happen, we can actually pull that breaker and replace it with a regular one, which is nice because we go from replacing a $50 breaker to replacing it with like a $6 breaker. It's kind of nice. Jim Van Tassel, ozone machines. Yeah, ozone machines work great. They do work great. The place has to be vacant. Any other unit attached to it needs to be vacant. So there's a little bit of a limited use of what you can do with them. But I do love ozone machines. They work great. Coffee grounds and carpet. If it's around that's what that's what we'll use. But yeah, ozone machines can work. Ozone machines can work for sure. Arc faults do suck. They do suck. Yep. They're awful. And the issue is that you used to only have to have 2 of them in the panel. Then it was 10 of them in the panel. And then it was 20 out of 24 in a panel, and then it was like 30 out of 32 in the panel. It was like, come on, guys. And they are outrageously expensive. Outrageously expensive. They're literally about 20 times the price of what a regular breaker that same size was. Chris Cope, I'm using ozone for a cold plunge for my wife, and it's tough to breathe. Yeah, it is. Yep. Ozone, you should not be breathing. It should not be breathing, Chris. Read all the stuff on it. You shouldn't be breathing ozone. When you use it in a house, that's why you don't put, no one can be in the house when you're using it, and no one can be, I don't put anybody in the unit anywhere next door either. But ozone machines are great for certain things like, smoke in cars and smoke in houses and things like that. If you vent them and then you just do it. But then when you go back to doing that machine and to shut it off, you really need to, like for us, I literally open up all the doors on the house first. And then I go in and I shut the machine off, and then I make sure to let the house air out for quite some time. So yeah, house under conduit has major pet smells. That's okay. We love those. That's the smell of money. It's the smell of money. Guys, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week. Guys in the boot camp, kids in the boot camp, 2 days, we're doing the boot camp. Make sure you're ready to come and have some fun. I believe one of the students is preparing the student housing piece. If he's not ready to go with that, I will be ready to go with that, and take you guys through that process. And so, yeah, it'll blow your mind on the student stuff, but we'll actually do that in the boot camp. And then we'll actually snip that and put that in the course and see if we record it in the Zoom, if that's going to help us then get it back into the course. So we'll do that with you. But guys, have a fantastic rest of your week. Appreciate all you guys. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me. And yeah, guys, have a fantastic rest of your week. And my boot campers, I'll see you guys on Saturday. Bye, guys. Take care. Have an absolutely fantastic close to your week. See ya.